Hi, welcome to Exploring the World Ocean. I'm Sean Chamberlain. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what is the world ocean, what do oceanographers mean by that term, and what kinds of things do the oceanographers study in the world ocean. I'd like to introduce some of the terms and concepts that we'll be using throughout this semester to get us on a good footing for our course of studies ahead. Well, oceanographers, like any group of scientists, start with questions when investigating the natural world, and we'll do the same. We might ask, what is the world ocean? What do oceanographers mean by that term? What kinds of things do oceanographers study? What sorts of things are oceanographers interested in the world ocean? Why is oceanography important? Why is it not only important to you as a student who's enrolled in a 3-unit physical science credit class that hoping to transfer to a 4-year college, but why is it important to us as people living on a planet? And how are humans affecting the world ocean? How are the choices and decisions that you make in your everyday life affecting and impacting our world ocean? Well, that's screwed now. Alright, let's try this again. This we don't need to be so far over. That's better. Alright, now kosher. Still recording? Yes, we are. Didn't mean to, but let's start it over again. Hopefully our tape won't run out. Hi. 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 Welcome to Exploring the World Ocean. I'm Sean Chamberlain. In today's lecture, I'd like to introduce you to the world ocean and some of the terms and concepts that oceanographers use in their discipline and some of the kinds of things that will be useful to us throughout our course of studies. Now, oceanographers, like any group of scientists, start with questions, and we'll do the same. One question we might ask is, what is the world ocean? What do oceanographers mean by that word, world ocean? And why did we choose it as a title for our book? What kinds of things do oceanographers study? What sorts of things are they interested in the world ocean? Why is oceanography important? Of course, it's important to you, enrolled in a 3-unit physical science credit class, hoping to transfer to a 4-year college. But why is it important to everyone? Why is it such an important discipline in the study of our planet and the kinds of things that are going on in the natural world of our planet? And how are humans affecting the world ocean? This is a theme that we'll come back to throughout the entire semester. How are the decisions that you make and the kinds of things that you do impacting the world ocean? Well, let's start with this idea of the world ocean in the first place. Most of us are familiar with the geographic oceans, the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arctic, and Southern Ocean, which some of you might know as the Antarctic Ocean. But probably what you didn't know is that all of these oceans are interconnected. Waters from one basin flow into the other basins. Water that starts out here in the North Atlantic Ocean can actually be found hundreds of years later in the Pacific Ocean. And for that reason, oceanographers consider there to be really just one ocean, which we refer to as the world ocean. And we'll learn a lot more about that as the semester goes on. I'd just like to point out that in the back of your book, on the inside back cover, you'll find this map of the world and this map of the world ocean, and I suggest that you refer back to it from time to time, especially as we talk about locations with which you might not be that familiar. Well, oceanographers are a motley lot, and a variety of different kinds of people engage in studies of the ocean, and we're going to learn a little bit about that. Motley indeed. What is oceanography? Well, it's simply defined as the study of the world ocean. Oceanographers, then, are the men and women who study the world ocean, and as of this time on, that includes you. Because you're engaged in a study of oceanography and a study of the world ocean, that makes you an official oceanographer. Tell your friends about it. Now, oceanography is actually composed of 4 major subdisciplines, and we'll take a closer look at this as well, but it includes the topics of geology, the study of rocks, physics, the study of energy, chemistry, the study of matter on our planet, and biology, the study of living things. Oceanographers aboard an oceanographic research vessel carry out a variety of different kinds of studies related to these separate subdisciplines. In fact, we call oceanography an interdisciplinary science because it's composed of several different disciplines. You might find out on an oceanographic research vessel physicists, chemists, biologists, geologists, astronomers, geophysicists, seismologists, all kinds of people from different backgrounds and different disciplines. And that's really one of the hallmarks of oceanography because it requires the efforts of so many different kinds of scientists to study the world ocean. It also includes and requires people to run the ship and people to run the instruments that are on the ship. So really, oceanographic research also includes the technicians, the shipboard personnel, the captain and the crew, the computer people, the people that produce graphics and all sorts of things. So really, just about any career that you can think of in some way could be turned into a career in oceanography. You might want to think about that. Oceanographic research, as I said, is composed of many different kinds of things. Here we have some figures of some photos of people working at sea on some expeditions that I've been out on. Fundamentally, all of this research is designed to ask and designed to investigate how the world ocean works as a system. How does the ocean work? Simple question, very complex answers. The approach that oceanographers use is that of scientists, really. It's called scientific inquiry. You may know it as a scientific method, but we're going to take a little bit different spin on the scientific method. Because of the collaborative and interdisciplinary nature of oceanography, it involves a little bit different approach and a variety of different activities. We call this the activity model of the scientific method, and you can find this in your book as well in Chapter 1. If we take apart some of the basic kinds of things that scientists do, they observe, they define the problem. What's the question that we're going to ask? We form a really good question. We start to investigate it, and some of that investigation could even be just library investigating, figuring out what people did previously. We articulate any expectations. What do we expect to find if we go out and do a particular investigation? Articulating, forming the words that help us to define a problem is really important. It's really an often overlooked part of any kind of study. We then finally get to actually carrying out the study, going out to sea and collecting data, or going and looking at satellite data or buoy data or any of the variety of different ways that we can acquire data from the ocean. Scientists and oceanographers will then examine the results, looking at the data, averaging it out, taking a good look at the patterns. Data analysis can be excruciatingly complex and a lot of work. We then reflect on the findings, and this kind of gives you a vision of a man sitting around with a pipe, perhaps thinking about the ocean, and there is some of that indeed, but oftentimes you don't have that long. There's so much pressure to get research done to reflect too long. But in any case, that's what that means. And then communicating the results of your study with other scientists and other people, telling them what you found, having them tell you what they found. So all of these different components are part of what we traditionally call the scientific method, but in oceanography and in the activity model of the scientific method, any of these kinds of things could happen at any time. We might go from observing to carrying out the study. We might go from investigating what's known to communicating with others. What did you find out? Give me more details about it. And so these sort of lines that connect all of these kinds of things in this diagram are meant to express to you and meant to illustrate that oceanographic research is an activity. And a lot of different things go on at the same time, and a lot of different kinds of communication and processes and methods and facts and figures exchanged and those kinds of things. So it's not this sort of textbook linear scientific method that maybe you learned in high school.